The first one we're going to do is we're going to convert 25 centimeters cubed to millimeters cubed. So just like a volume one. So how are we converting units when it's now cubed? Okay. We still just need to make our game plan. So what unit are you going to start with? Okay, so we're going to start with centimeters. This time it's centimeters cubed. And we're going to convert it to millimeters cubed. Okay. And then I walked by and like helped some of you. What's the conversion between millimeters and centimeters?
1 centimeter is 10 millimeters.
Okay, so 1 centimeter is 10 millimeters. Here's the good news. It is the same conversion. You just have to add the cubed. So now it's just 1 cubed centimeter is equal to 1 cubic millimeter. All right, so then now we'll set up the dimensional analysis. What number goes in the first box?
25.
Okay, 25.0 cubed centimeters. Then we'll use our conversion. And the top right, if centimeters cubed is in the top box, what unit has to go in the bottom box? Okay, and how many centimeters cubed?
1.
Okay, so 1 cubic centimeter. And then what goes in the top?
10 millimeters cubed.
Okay, 10 millimeters cubed. Okay, so for this one, write yourself a little note when you're doing the conversion factor, like the 1 centimeter cubed is 10 millimeters cubed. You actually have to cube these numbers in your calculator. Okay, so your conversion factor, you have to cube your starting number. You do not have to cube because like this one is already cubed. Okay, like this one has been done for you. But this one you have to cube. So when we type it in, we're still going to multiply the top row. We're going to do 25.0. And then you have to times it by 10 cubed. Okay, so everyone practice in your calculator. So 25.0 times 10 cubed. What do you get?
I got 25,000.
25,000. Good. Okay, bottom row is 1 times 1 cubed. What is that going to be? Still 1. Okay. So 25,000 divided by 1 is still just 25,000. Yes? Okay. Last step for this one is sig figs. How many sig figs are in 25.0? 3. Okay. When you go metric to metric, we don't count those. So you have to have 3 in your answer. How many do you currently have? Just 2. So this one is kind of weird to turn it to 3 sig figs, but it's a good example. Okay. I need space, so I'm just going to write it down here. So to turn this one into 3 sig figs, you have to turn it into scientific notation. So put your decimal, and then how many places do you have to move the decimal to move it in between the 2 and the 5? 4. So, and I'm going to write 2.50 to get that third sig fig times 10 to the 4th millimeters cubed. Okay, so now we're going to switch gears to dealing with 2 units. Like we're going like 65 meters per minute. Okay, so like speeds or rates. So let's say you're on the treadmill and you're going 65 meters per minute. How many seconds will it take you to walk a distance of 8,450 feet? Okay, so this time, how many numbers are given to you in the word problem? 2. So you're given 65 meters per minute and 8,450 feet, right? So like, do you see what's made this problem different? Okay, so the problem is how do you know which number to start with?
Because it tells you.
Well, it tells you, but I'm going to like give you some like logic. How do we know? Okay. You have to look at your units. So 65 meters per minute, that one has 2 units, right? You have meters and minutes in it. 8,450 feet just has 1 unit. You're always going to start with the 1 unit, okay? Every single time. Every time, if the single unit is the one you're going to start with. So now we're going to make our game plan. So what unit are we going to start with? Good, and that's with feet. right? So we're going to start in feet. Ultimately, at the very end of this, what unit does your answer have to be in? No, look, how many seconds? So your final answer has to be in seconds. Okay. So how are we going to get from distance to time? And that's where this is going to come in. Okay. So in order to get to distance, what unit do we have to convert to? Meters. So we're going to go from feet to meters. And then we're going to use this to go from meters to minutes. And then can we convert between minutes and seconds?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so now that we have the plan, go ahead and draw your dimensional analysis box. Look at that straight line. So good. All right, what number do you start with? Okay, so we're starting with that 8,450 feet. We have to get to meters. Do we know how many feet are in a meter? Probably not. What resource could you do to figure that out? Okay, we all Google how many feet are in a meter, please. Okay, so we know there's 3.28 feet per meter. So if feet are at the top, what unit has to go down here? Feet. And how many feet? Okay, so 3.28 feet are in every meter. So now we're in meters and we have to get to minutes. That's where we're going to use this number. How many meters do you go per minute? Okay, and when it's per minute, like what quantity does per mean? 1. Okay, so if meters is up top, well, unit has to go on the bottom. Meters, and you're going 65 meters. And then per minute is for every 1 minute. And then we have to get to seconds. How many seconds are in a minute? Okay, so what has to go in the bottom box? Okay, 1 minute, 60 seconds on the top. Okay, and then we'll calculate just how we always have. So multiply the top row. So 8450 times 60.
507,000.
Do y'all agree? Okay. 3.28 times 65. 213.2. Okay, and then now go ahead and divide both those numbers. Two, 387. Okay.
0,487.
That's good enough. We're going to round. Okay. Are you getting 2,387? Okay. Last step, sig figs. How many are in 8450? 3. How about 3.28? 3. How about 65? 2. And we don't do time. So how many can your answer have? 2. So what's that 8 going to cause you to do? Round up. What are we rounding this up to? Okay. Make sure you keep your places. So it's still 2,400. And your unit is seconds. This time you're going to start with 2 units and you're going to end with 2 units. Okay. So let's say you're driving a car and you're going 60 miles per hour. How many inches per second are you moving? Okay, so we're back to just one number. So that means what unit are you starting with? Okay, miles per hour. Instead of writing miles per hour, I'm going to write it as miles divided by hours. Is that the same thing? Okay. And then what units do you need to end with? Okay, so you have to end with inches per second. So again, I'm going to write it as like inches over seconds. So this time we're going to make 2 plans, one to convert miles to inches, and then the second one to convert hours to seconds. Okay. Do we know how many inches are in a mile? What do we know? Okay, so can we go from miles to feet to inches? And then for time, do we know how many seconds are in an hour? Okay, but what do we know? Okay, so we're gonna go from hours to minutes to seconds. Okay, so we're starting with 2 units. We're gonna end with 2 units. The good news, we're gonna put it on like one set of dimensional analysis boxes. So it's still just one calculation. Okay, so what number are you gonna start with? Okay, and notice how I wrote the unit up here. I did miles divided by hours. I'm gonna copy that down here. So I'm gonna go 60 miles. And then when it's per hour, what number is implied? 1. So I'm gonna write 1 hour on that bottom row. Okay. So do you see how it matches? So it's miles divided by hours up here. And do you see how I'm still miles divided by hours down here? Okay. We're gonna go from miles to inches first. So we're gonna ignore this 1 hour for a while. Okay. So how many feet are in a mile? 5280. If mile is on the top box, what unit has to go down here? Mile. So for every 1 mile, there's 5280 feet. And then how many inches are in a foot? 12. If foot is on the top box, what unit has to go down here? Okay. 1 foot, what goes in the top box? Okay, 12 inches. Okay, does our unit inches match where we need it to be? Okay, so now we're going to go back and we're going to convert our time. Okay, and I'm just going to keep going with the boxes. So hours to minutes, how many minutes are in an hour? 60. We're still canceling units, so if hour was in the bottom box, hour has to come on the top box now. So for every 1 hour, how many minutes are there? Okay, so now 60 minutes is on the bottom box. And I'm going to cancel out my unit hours. And then we have to get to seconds. How many seconds are in a minute? Okay, if minute is in the bottom box, now what unit has to go up the top? Minutes. So I'm going to put 1 minute in the top. And then what goes in the bottom? 60 seconds. Okay, so minutes cancel. And then if you notice, only 2 units didn't cancel. Do you see how it's inches divided by seconds? Okay. Does that match the format you need up here, inches divided by seconds? Okay, that should be like the number 1 way to tell if you set up your work correct. If you had like inches times seconds, is that kind of like a red flag of something's in the wrong place? Okay, so inches divided by seconds, it matches what we're looking for. So now it's time to calculate. And you're going to calculate it the exact same way you always have. So multiply that top row. So 60 times 5280 times 12.
380. 1600. Yeah, try to say that. 1,600.
Okay, are we getting this really large number?
Yes.
Okay. Multiply the bottom row. What's 60 times 60? 3,600. And then we'll just divide. So top row divided by bottom row. $1056. Okay. Do y'all agree with the 1056?
Yes.
Okay. Sig figs. How many are in 60 with a decimal? 2. How about this number? 3. We don't count, we don't count, we don't count. So how many can your answer have? 2. So that's your second sig fig. What's the 5 going to cause you to do? Okay, round it up. What are we rounding this up to? Okay, 1,100 inches per second.